My lords, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome back to OpenTTD. This is episode 2 of our new series on OpenTTD, and to recap the first episode, we made a solid if not spectacular start in bootstrapping our company. We've supplied, coal and clay into this brickworks here at Littleport. And we were discussing bringing in the sand as well. We have a quarry that produces sand right here in Bracknell, not too far away, so it makes sense that that would be our next logical move. Before we do that actually, I'm just looking at this coal service, and I'm wondering if we need extra trains running on here. We currently have 2, but as we can see there is 126 tons of coal at the Holyhead Colliery waiting for collection. So I think what we'll do before we do anything else is we will clone one of these trains, set it on the way, and we've done the shared orders clone by shift clicking, so this train already has the orders put through, and we'll see how 3 trains perform on this run. So that has eaten up pretty much all of our cash on hand. So for the next expansion, which is the sand into here, we are going to have to extend our credit facility at the bank. So let's do that. Let's borrow, say, let's get to 60 or 70,000. 76,000 should be enough, and then we can start the construction on this new service right here. So let's pop this station there. We're going to need bridges over the river here. We'll use these suspension bridges here. We don't need bridges anymore. Let's bring those together, and I think we will have this double tracked all the way. And as we said when we were planning out this expansion, what we'll likely end up doing is double tracking from this junction all the way through to the station. So I think we'll do that first of all. So let's remove that signal there because it's likely to be in the way. And let's see about expanding this section of double track all the way through to the station at Littleport. Sort of like so. So we'll need a diamond there now. That little bit of connecting track can now be removed. What we then want to do is fill out the signals, and again using the control click and drag to fill it out in its entirety. We'll need, well, we will put a one-way signal there, and this one-way signal here, I think we'll just remove it because we have a path signal right there as well. Okay, so now what we can do is carry on extending this line, and let's bring the second track out as well. As I said, we'll have all of this double tracked at this point, and we want to have these come like this before merging in like so. So let's do the same for that track. There we go. So now we just need to work the signals a little. Let's put a signal there. Let's put a one-way signal there. We want a one-way signal before the diamond back there. And then we can do the control click and drag to just backfill all the remaining path signals like that. Do we want to get I'm just wondering, do we want another depot? And I think we probably do. So let's put one depot there. Just connect those off across, just so the trains can get onto either tracks, like so. And then we can buy the new vehicle to run this line. So we'll go again with the 060 goods train, so we'll buy that. And we want you to haul sand. So once again, it's the medium hopper. How much do you produce? 162 tons. And you carry 40. So let's go for... I think we'll just have a short train here. Just with 4 medium hoppers. That gives them a capacity of 200 tons. Which is more than the quarry does produce. Make sure we give them the 20-ton brake van as well. And that is all we need. So let's do the orders. So we're coming from the Bracknell quarry to the Littleport brickworks. At the quarry you want a full load, and at Littleport you want to unload all. And it's as simple as that. So we'll want to set up a brand new group for this new train that we've just got up and running. So we want this within the freight subcategory, and this will be sand. And then within the new sand category, we want another new group, and this will be Bracknell Quarry, BKL Bracknell, or BKN, BNL Bracknell, yeah, BNL. Bracknell to Littleport, which is LTP. And then all ungrouped trains, which is just the one at the moment, can be assigned to that new group. Okay, so that, when the sand starts to arrive, that'll see all 3 of the commodities or the required goods supplied, and we should see that boost in production thanks to that. So then we were discussing where we would take the building supplies that are produced at the brickworks and where we would sell them. And we identified this builder's yard here, the builder's merchant, just on the outskirts of Bracknell, and I think that remains our best option. So what we will do here is immediately build another new station, have it so it encompasses the builder's yard, like that. So this is Bracknell Woods. Let's just call this the Bracknell Freight Yard instead. Okay. And then we want to figure out how we want to link it into our existing network. We could come up this way and then bypass through Bracknell Quarry. That would be an option. Oh, I forgot to put the signals on the platform there. Let's do that. Or we could come across this river as well, and then it could run direct from Littleport Brickworks down this way. That way is more direct. However, this way would be cheaper because we'd be sharing this infrastructure here, and all this is already double tracked anyway. So how do we want to do that? I think to start with we will, because we can always reroute these lines later on if we decide that we need to. So let's make a start. Let's get our diamond, and again we'll probably just straight up double track this. Give them a suspension bridge made of concrete over that little river, and then we want to have these tracks come out from the station with the diamond, and then it wants to turn down here. Now that might be a little bit slow because it's a bit tight, but it does line up perfectly, so I think we'll just live with that, like so. Now we want to put our signals on, and we will do the platform signals this time before we forget. And let's put our signals on that side, and then down here let's put our signals on this side as well, like so. Make sure we include one-way signals at either end of the track, so there and there. And by my reckoning, that is ready to go. I don't think we've missed anything. Oh, the station signals as well, we'll put those in while we're here. So signal and signal just there. So now we can buy another new train. Now, not sure if we'll be able to afford this, especially if we go for the 060 goods locomotive. Just close that window, we don't need that one open. Let's have a look. let's sort these by power, and we'll sort them in descending order. We could go for the 442 spinner. I mean, it is suitable as an express passenger service rather than as a shunting service or a freight service. Well, there's this one as well, but it's a bit slow at only 35 miles per hour, but it is pretty cheap. But I think I prefer the extra speed that the 060 goods provide, so we'll go for that one. We'll go with what we know. And we want you to be able to carry building materials. Now, we could use a medium hopper again, but we have used that a lot lately, so I think we go for something a little bit different this time. And I think we'll go for the XP van. That has a capacity of 10 tons per wagon. Your production is quite high at 309 tons over the last month. So let's go for a 10 wagon consist, I think. So there's 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, we can't afford it. Let's just extend our credit facility even further. So we got as far as 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then we want the brake van on the rear. Like that. So you're going to run from the Littleport Brickworks to the Bracknell Freight Yard. Full load, unload all when you get to Bracknell, and that's your lot, so you can now be sent on your way. So let's close all that down. So this bit of track between the station and this junction is going to get a little bit busy, but I think we have enough path signals to create enough blocks to keep things flowing as freely as realistically possible. A lot of our trains are quite short at the moment as well, so there is that to bear in mind. How are you doing in terms of keeping up on production? Let's just have a look. So yeah, you're taking 160 tons per journey. How much is left? 105 tons. I think that's reasonable enough. As we can see, our building materials van has already started to load. It's up to 47%. With each delivery that arrives, whether that be sand, clay or coal, we'll see that number rise, and in fact it's just departing already for the first drop off over at Bracknell. So before we do anything else, we want to set up yet another new group. Now this is not coal or sand, so we want to create a new subcategory for building supplies. Let's capitalise that, we'll capitalise the rest. Building subs. So building supplies, and within that category we want another category that runs from LTP, Littleport, to Bracknell, which I think we had as BNL. Let's just check. Yes, it was. So from Littleport to Bracknell, and then all ungrouped trains, which is just the one again, are going in that new subcategory. So far so good. So it'll be interesting to see how much this generates us for a full load. You do have a full load, don't you? Yeah, 110 tons. I must have put 11 on there rather than 10, but never mind, it's not the end of the world. At some point we might want to look to expand the platform or the station size at Bracknell. Although while we only have one train stopping now, I think we're going to be okay. If we were to have multiple trains running the sand from the quarry to the brickworks, then we'd probably want to consider a bypass line or a bypass platform, but as I said, it's not necessarily needed at this moment in time. Similarly, we might want to think about having an extra platform over here, although we've hemmed ourselves in so there is no space to do that, so we'll just have to live with the 3. But I think 3 is going to be enough for what we need. Right, so how much are you going to make us? Let's have a look. 6,000 for a full load, not too shabby at all. I think one thing we might end up doing here is increasing the amount of trams we have shunting between the quarry and the station. So let's, using the control click, so we go for the shared orders clone function, let's double up and get another 4 trams to run this service. And that'll just give us a far more lucrative payout, shall we say, because we have the clay arriving at shorter and shorter intervals. There's no shortage of clay at the tram freight yard that we have at the quarry, so nothing to be concerned of there. We're not going to overtax this industry using 8 trams, I shouldn't think. And then we'll see more regular drop-offs, like I said. And I know they only generate, was it 200 per drop-off? Yeah. But it's 200 that's coming in at a faster trickle in the background. So everything's looking good over here. We only produced 90 tons last month, but that is what it is. So yeah, things are looking pretty good for our initial setup. Looks like we are now overtaxing this industry somewhat, but it's not too much of a problem having a train waiting. We do have 2 platforms, so we can have 2 waiting simultaneously, with a third ideally travelling either to Littleport or on their way back, with the third arriving back at Holyhead as one of the waiting trains is loaded and moves away. Okay, so happy with that. One thing we might want to do, since we are overtaxing this now, is look to supply engineering supplies to the Holyhead coal mine, and let's see how we would do that. So if we click there, so this is the engineering supplies cargo. Let's link this to the small map, and then let's just uncheck anything that we are not interested in. So we want to keep all of these because these are the suppliers, but we want to get rid of all of these barring the coal mine. So the iron ore mine can be removed, the oil rig can be removed, the quarry can be removed, the oil wells can be removed, the dredging site can go, the scrapyard can go, and the clay pit can go. So let's see where we are. So here we are. There's our coal mine blinking away in what is roughly the centre of the minimap. So anything else that is left is a supplier or a producer of engineering supplies. So we have a machine shop here just to the south of Abergavenny, and that's not a million miles away from the coal mine. And it looks like it might be the close. We also have that timber yard there. That's off to the southwest of the coal mine, just on the edge of the river there. As you can see it blinking away right here. But I think this one makes a little bit more sense logically, and that's simply because we already have some train infrastructure down here, so we could just tap into that and share it. So let's make a decision here. So what do you need to actually produce engineering supplies? You need metal and you need petroleum, so there's a whole chain thing to worry about there. You need timber, or well, you need both. See, this is interesting because the machine shop will produce at maximum rate if any of these 2 are supplied, whereas the timber yard just to the southwest, it'll only produce at maximum if both timber and chemicals are supplied. So I think we'll lean towards the machine shop. So you need metal and you need petroleum fuels. Let's see if we can supply either of those, shall we? So let's link this now to the small map, and once again we just want to remove all of these accepting industries barring the coal mine. So the iron ore mine, these are not in alphabetical order, so I just work from top to bottom. The oil rig, the oil wells, I know they're also on there. The quarry needs to go. The forest, we've done the oil wells. The dredging site, the scrapyard, the arable farm. This also produces farm supplies, you see, so we're getting a few farms chucked into the mix. The sheep farm can go. The dairy farm, the mixed farm, the fruit plantation, and the clay pit. We keep the coal mine, of course, because that's what we're interested in. So we need metal or petroleum. It doesn't matter which, because we produce at maximum rate, even if only one of the required cargoes are supplied. So it looks like we have an oil refinery here. Let's just switch oil wells on, because that's what we're going to supply a refinery from if we do go down the chemicals route. Because that, I think, would probably be the easiest one to set up. So we have an oil refinery here, which is not too far away from the machine shop. And we do have oil wells right up at the edge of the map here, to the northwest of Walkden. So running a line down there, it's probably similar length as our coal line, which is working quite nicely for us. So we could run the oil into the refinery, refine the oil, pick up the, is it petroleum? Yes, pick up the petroleum, and then run into the machine shop. The machine shop will then turn the petroleum into engineering supplies, and then we can link from the machine shop to this network here and have the engineering supplies brought down into our coal mine. I think that would be fairly straightforward. So let's have a look into that. So here's our refinery. Our oil wells are up here. Now the problem we do have is we have this bit of a hill line between the two. And I think having a tunnel through this will be too prohibitive in terms of cost. So we have to be a little bit tactical as to how we approach this. Now I'm thinking we would have our station here, we'd run this way, climb the hill here, then turn between these two hills before heading down, because from this point down to the refinery it's all downhill, barring a couple of rivers that we'll have to bridge over the top of. And because we're coming this way with a full load, the gradient decrease is going to be in our favour, and then heading back our trains are going to be somewhat lighter because they've dropped off their full load. So going back up these hills in reverse, or in the reverse direction, shouldn't be as impactful. And then from here we bridge over. Here's our machine shop here at Abergavenny. Have a station probably just here, and then we'll output into this line right here. At that point we probably would want to add extra platforms to the station here as well. So if we have two trains waiting for coal, the engineering supplies can still be brought in. So I think that's what we will do. So we'll make a start. We should at least be able to get the oil up and running. So let's go for another new station then. And we want you to be situated around about there. This is West Kirby North. Let's just rename that to the West Kirby Wells. And what we want you to do, as we said, is to head this way. Likely we won't double track this entire run at this moment in time. And we want you to run this way, up here, and not that way, let's just delete that, up the hill, and then immediately turn and head between these two hills as we mentioned when we were planning this out. So a nice straight run there. And then we want you to come down these two slopes here. Like that. Very straightforward. Is that connected okay? Yes, it has. And let's see. If we carry on our current path, we're going to go straight into the town. So what we might want to do is just delete this a little bit back to, say, around about there. And then just curve it this way before heading back down that way there. That sends us free, clear of the town of Leatherhead. Let's get our bridge in place here. A new tramway, the Kreuzberg industrial tram. We'll just wait for it to become widely available. So we'll span the bridge, or we'll span the river with a bridge. In fact, what we probably could have done, or probably should have done, is not that. But let's get rid of all of that there, and let's get rid of that bridge. Okay, so we're going to have to do it this way, are we? Yes, we are. What we'll do instead is we'll run the bridge like that. That way we're not decreasing height to immediately increase to climb onto the bridge. Keeps that nice and flat. Okay, so we've crossed the first river. Let's now skirt around the edges of the town of Leatherhead. Let's come back to, say, there. We don't want a station. We do want another bridge there, just a short bridge this time. And we'll pay for the expensive bridge because it has a higher track speed. Now we can put our station at the refinery. And I think immediately we'll go for a fairly substantial size station here, because we're having both inputs and outputs in the very near future. And we'll just run that into whichever platform it lines up with, which is that one just there. And then we'll bring the rest of them into play as well, like that and like that. Let's just pop our signals, our station signals in position as well while we're in the area. Let's head over to West Kirby and do the same over here. So we're going to need a new depot out here, so we'll provide them with one. And we'll pop it just there. So in terms of passing loops then, we could have this, oh no, maybe not right there. Yeah, what we'll do, we'll have a passing loop just here. Like that. We probably want to have another one which we will put here. Like that. And to start with, that will be fine. We might want to either increase the length of these ones or add additional passing loops independent. But for now, I think we're okay. So we'll block signal these up. So we'll go that way. Nope, that's the wrong way around. So let's just remove those signals. There we go. And again, when you're removing signals, you can do the control click and drag, and it gets rid of all of them between the junctions, or between where the tracks merge, whatever it may be, the change in track. So let's put the signals there. That's done. I'm leaning towards having yet another passing loop right here, and we'll link it into the output from the depot, just like this. So signal there and there, left-hand drive, of course, as we mentioned in the first episode, and there. Okay, that looks ready to go. I don't think we have missed anything. So West Kirby Wells down to Leatherhead Refinery. Let's get our train up and running. We're going to have to borrow money to fund this. Let's just control click and maximize and borrow as much as we can. So because of the distance and the elevation changes, we will be going for the 060 goods trains. And cargo type is oil. So we have the 6-wheel tank wagon, the regular tank wagon, and the open wagon. Well, the 6-wheel tank wagon is superior in terms of both capacity and speed, so we'll use that one. And in terms of consist size, I think we'll go for about 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Let's not forget, of course, we want the brake van on the rear, like so. And we can set these orders. So you're going from West Kirby Wells, let's just remove that. Down, all the way down here to Leatherhead. We're going to pick up a full load at West Kirby and drop it off at Leatherhead. And you should be ready to go. So let's set up this new train group. So once again, we're going for a brand new subcategory here, oil. And then within this one, we want a line from Leatherhead to, no, West Kirby to Leatherhead. Yep, that will work. Ungroup trains, which is just the one, into that new line. And I think what we'll also do is we'll immediately clone that train. And I think we'll clone it twice. And away the second train comes, and the third will have to wait in the depot because all of these blocks will be spoken for. So once they start getting it up and running and things are flowing, we then want to look to bring in the petroleum that this oil refinery produces into our machine shop. And then of course it's a case of converting petroleum into engineering supplies, which we're going to ship down into this coal mine right here. We could also then backfill from the machine shop with engineering supplies all the way up to our oil wells up here, because these also accept engineering supplies, and that will quadruple our production rate if we supply them, so that's something to consider as well. So our first train has just left West Kirby. What I'm going to do now though is just head back over here, because if memory serves, we did get a couple new trams available. Let's see, what did we get? Or were they just on offer? Yeah, I don't think we actually did get anything new. Let's see. Is there a way? Yeah, introduction date. The Martin boxcar. Well, that's just passenger only. The 080 Castle Industrial Tram. You do 20 miles an hour. At the minute we're using the Y6040. And I think we'll stick with that for now. But we should have some new industrial trams becoming available in the near future. And it does look like we have swamped this service. So I'm going to send you back to the depot. And then we're going to just get rid of you. And yeah, we'll probably get rid of another one as well. And we'll run with 6. So this fellow here can also return to the depot. And then both of those can be sold, and we'll run with 6. So there we go. That's both trams now in that depot. Let's just sell them all. That'll give us a little cash injection of 4,470. And hopefully that will then balance out between the amount of trams and the production at this quarry right here. It's not had an effect over here as we can see, but we don't want myriads of trams queuing all the way across our network if we can avoid it. So we'll see how that does and how it handles it. What I'm also going to do is this fellow right here, I'm just going to stop him temporarily and allow him to increase the gap between the tram in front and allow the tram which is chasing up to catch up just a little, just to get the space imbalanced just ever so slightly. And yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. We don't want to be going into timetables on these, not for freight anyway. If we were passenger oriented, we would start looking at the timetables on them, but it's not necessary for freight. So you've just dropped off a full load. I didn't see how much you generated, but we do have a second full train about to arrive at Leatherhead. So let's pin that, and we can see in that window how much you're going to generate. Is our third train anywhere to be found? We probably passed it along the way somewhere. Ah, there you are. You're waiting at that junction. Who are you waiting for? That fellow to get out of the way. Okay, that's fine. So already I'm leaning towards having more passing loops or extended passing loops for this. How much are you going to generate? 12,000. Not too shabby at all. So what I'm tempted to do is just double track this whole run here between these two passing loops that we have already in place. So let's do that. Once we've done that, I think that's a good a place as any to end this episode. So bring that in like that. Remove that little crossing point there, and we can't move that one because you're on the wrong side of the tracks as it stands. So as soon as you have passed, we shall fill in the signals here. There we go. And then fill in the signals on this bit as well, like that. It doesn't matter if we keep that as a one-way path signal. Let's put another one just down there. Now we can remove that bit of track just there. And hopefully that will keep this little bit flowing a little bit more freely. And the trains aren't having to wait on each other quite as much. Okay, so yeah, that's where we'll end it today. Before we do that, let's just repay as much of our loan as we can. So we're now down to 300,000. And we're making pretty decent money as well. So next time out then, it is going to be a case of shipping the petroleum into the machine factory, or the machinery shop, and then transporting the engineering supplies that are produced at the machinery shop into our colliery just down here at Holyhead. And perhaps, like I said, if we wanted to, it's going to be a fair old distance, but we could look at maybe bringing some engineering supplies back up to our oil wells up here. Alternatively, we could have a look in the nearby area and see if we have any engineering supply producers nearby, so we're not having to travel nearly as far. And in fact, what we can do is, let's look at the cargo payment rate graph here. Just make that nice and big. Engineering supplies, where are you? Yeah, so you start off high, but after a while you do start to tail off quite sharply. You lose about £60 over 200 days in transit, which says to me from there to there is going to be very profitable because it's quite a short distance, so we could be able to get those engineering supplies over before they start to lose value. However, running them from there to there, we're going to see quite a lot of drop off, especially if we have alternate suppliers up and around this area of the map somewhere. Just close that down. So yeah, that's where we'll draw a close today. We're nicely set for expansion in the next episode. So I hope you've enjoyed the episode and you're enjoying the series. Let me know your comments, feedback and suggestion on this. As I said in episode 1, this is very much a go-to game for me. It's something I can just pick up and play time and time again. And I hope it's something you enjoy watching as well. As always, a very special thank you to my Patreon supporters. Your support and your generosity is deeply appreciated, so thank you very much indeed. But for now, as always, ladies and gentlemen, all that remains for me to say is take very good care of yourselves. It's ta-ta for now.